You want this ring? Then speak Chinese, the millionaire teased. The black waitress replied, in 9 languages. The evening hums with the quiet thunder of wealth. Crystal chandeliers scatter gold light across lacquered tables, and a string quartet plays faintly near the bar of the Jade Ember, Manhattan's most exclusive Shanghai fusion restaurant. Every seat is filled with people who talk in whispers that could buy skyscrapers. Waiters glide like shadows, trained not to interrupt the rhythm of privilege. Among them, Amara Johnson moves with calm precision, black hair tied neatly, her uniform immaculate, her posture dignified. Her eyes are alert, soft yet knowing, revealing a woman who has seen more than this gilded cage could imagine. At a corner table near the panoramic window sits Ethan Lee, 25, young enough to still enjoy arrogance, old enough to afford it. His designer suit is tailored like armor. Around him gather 4 investors, older, paler, men with diamond cufflinks and an appetite for spectacle. Ethan holds court, laughing too loudly, every word carefully measured to assert dominance. When I launched Linet, I told them, "Never take advice from the poor," he says, raising his glass. The table erupts in laughter, a symphony of approval. Amara approaches, balancing a tray with quiet grace. "Good evening, gentlemen. May I take your orders?" Her voice carries poise, not servitude. Ethan doesn't look up at first, scrolling through his phone, smirking. When he finally glances at her, his eyes narrow slightly, calculating, appraising. "You sound too polished for this place," he says. "Where'd you learn to talk like that?" "Netflix." The table chuckles. "Colombia," Amara replies simply, her tone polite but firm. A flicker of surprise crosses Ethan's face, but he recovers quickly, smiling with a predator's charm. "Ah, an educated waitress. That's cute. Everyone's got a side hustle these days." She doesn't respond. She writes their orders down, her movement smooth, professional. But the tension lingers, unspoken, like a faint electric hum in the air. Across the restaurant, 2 other servers exchange sympathetic glances. They've seen this before. Amara, though, doesn't flinch. She carries herself as if she's the only one here who knows the joke isn't on her. When she returns with appetizers, one of the investors, a white-haired man with a voice like sandpaper, points at her with his chopsticks. "You pronounced Longjing perfectly. You Chinese?" he asks, half curious, half condescending. "No, sir," she answers. "Just interested in languages." Ethan laughs, leaning back. "Languages? That's adorable. Maybe you can help me hire better translators for my Beijing team." He gestures to the diamond ring on his pinky, a showpiece of status. "This baby alone cost more than your annual salary." Amara's eyes flicker to the ring, not with envy, but analysis. "I'm sure it did," she says softly. He tilts his head, detecting quiet defiance. "You know, my grandmother used to say, if you can't speak a man's language, you can't reach his level. So tell me." He raises his hand, the diamond catching the chandelier light like a star. "You want this ring? Then speak Chinese." For a second, no one breathes. The laughter that follows is slow, mean, contagious. Phones are lifted. A few guests turn to watch. Even the quartet falters mid-song, strings trembling with uncertainty. Amara stands still, tray in hand, the sound of her heartbeat louder than the room's collective arrogance. Inside, something ancient stirs, the memory of every insult she's ever turned into strength. Her jaw tightens. Her eyes, calm as deep water, meet Ethan's perfectly. He expects embarrassment, retreat, maybe tears. What he gets instead is silence so sharp it cuts through the laughter. In that silence, she begins to smile, small, deliberate, dangerous. The chandeliers hum above them. The city glows beyond the glass. And Ethan Lee, millionaire, prodigy, fool, doesn't yet realize he's just declared war on the wrong woman. Laughter swells like a wave and crashes over the room. The kind of laughter that feeds on discomfort. Forks pause, glasses freeze midair, and every face turns toward Amara, waiting to see how she'll react. Her hand trembles for just a second before she steadies it against the tray. Her chest tightens, heat rising in her throat, humiliation blooming like fire. Inside, 1,000 memories flicker. The nights studying at Columbia, teaching linguistics at Boston University, her mother's hospital bills piling up, the long fall from professor to waitress. How did I end up here, mocked by a boy who thinks a ring makes him royal? But Amara doesn't move. She breathes in once, slow and deep, the way she used to before lectures. The laughter keeps rolling, infectious, merciless. Ethan leans back, arms crossed, pretending innocence. "Relax, everyone," he says with a smirk. "I'm joking, just having a little fun." She knows I'm kidding, right? His words, coated with fake charm, sting more than the insult. It's the tone of a man who knows he can get away with anything. The investors laugh along, eager to stay in his favor. One murmurs, "Lighten up, sweetheart." He's just teasing. Amara feels the weight of all their eyes. Men who measure worth in zeros, women who look away, waiters who hold their breath. Her heartbeat slows. The humiliation burns itself clean, turning into something colder, sharper. Calm replaces fury. A nearby influencer in a glittering dress lifts her phone, whispering to a companion, "This is going to blow up online." The red recording light gleams like an omen. In the reflection of a wine glass, Amara sees herself, the uniform, the stillness, the spark in her eyes that refuses to die. If they want a show, she thinks, I'll give them one they'll never forget. Ethan's laughter fades as he notices her silence. "Come on," he says, gesturing grandly. "Don't take it so seriously. You know how we are. Just a bit of banter." The word banter hangs heavy, a word rich men use to disguise cruelty. Amara finally sets her tray down. Every motion deliberate, elegant, practiced. She straightens her posture and looks him directly in the eyes. The room goes still. Even the violinist lowers his bow. "Would you like me to serve you in Chinese?" She asks softly. The crowd titters again, confused. Was she mocking him back? Ethan grins, relieved to think she's playing along. "Oh, so you do have a sense of humor." "Sure. Let's see what you've got. Say something impressive. Ni hao?" Amara's face remains unreadable. "In which dialect would you like me to serve you?" she says, her voice calm as glass. Mandarin or Cantonese. The words land like thunder in the hush. For a second, no one processes it. Then the whispers start. Wait, did she just ask that? She speaks Chinese. No way. Phones rise higher. Cameras zoom in. Even the investors exchange uncertain looks. Ethan blinks, unsure whether to laugh or recoil. He glances at his friend searching for backup, but they're as surprised as he is. The rhythm of the evening has shifted, the balance inverted without warning. He stammers, forcing a chuckle. "Mandarin, I guess?" She nods, her expression serene, like a conductor readying an orchestra. Around them, plates clink faintly, breaths are held. The laughter that filled the room moments ago now feels misplaced, awkward, almost shameful. For the first time that night, Ethan isn't the one in control. The joke he thought he owned is slipping from his grasp, twisting into something dangerous. The chandelier light catches the sweat forming at his temple. The investors lean forward. The air itself seems to wait, and Amara, still and composed, prepares to speak, not as a waitress, not as someone beneath him, but as a woman reclaiming her power. One word at a time. Silence drops like a curtain, heavy and expectant. The game has changed. Ethan just doesn't know it yet. A soft tremor ripples through the restaurant as Amara steps closer to the table. The chandeliers hum above, casting a warm, molten glow across her face. Ethan's grin lingers, lazy, expectant, believing she'll offer a few clumsy syllables, maybe a half-hearted ni hao. But the look in her eyes tells another story. Calm, sharp, ancient. She exhales once, then begins. Her voice flows in flawless Mandarin, each tone precise, musical, confident. 各位尊贵的客人，欢迎来到语言餐厅。今晚的前菜是龙井虾仁，选用新鲜的明虾，配以杭州龙井茶。Honored guests, welcome to the Jade Ember. Tonight's appetizer is Dragon Well shrimp, fresh prawns infused with Hangzhou Longjing tea. The sound drapes across the room like silk. Every syllable lands perfectly, each inflection tuned with the grace of someone who's lived in the language. Forks lower. Glasses stop midair. The only movement comes from the slow, startled lift of eyebrows. Ethan's grin falters. What did you just say?" Amara doesn't answer him. She continues, unhurried, explaining the origin of the next dish in Mandarin, how the chef imported soy blossoms from Suzhou, how each flavor layer reflects balance and patience. Her voice doesn't just speak the language, it belongs in it. The investors, who had been half distracted, now lean forward, captivated. One whispers to another, her tones are perfect. Even most native speakers slip on that. Ethan shifts in his seat, trying to laugh it off. Okay, that's cute. You probably memorized that speech or something. Without missing a beat, Amara turns to him and switches to Cantonese. Her tone changes, richer, faster, rhythmic like jazz. 先生，如果你认为这只是被告，那你应该再听清楚一点. Sir, if you think this is memorized, perhaps you should listen more carefully. The shift in dialect lands like thunder. The crowd murmurs, stunned. Even the Hong Kong investor at the table blinks in surprise, then smiles, impressed. 他讲得太地道了. She speaks it perfectly. Ethan's hand tightens around his glass. Okay, we get it. You're talented, his voice cracks slightly. But Amara isn't finished. She transitions effortlessly into Shanghainese, her tone smooth yet firm. 这里的味道是新做的，不是现买的. The flavor here is made from heart, not from money. The investors exchange glances. Respect now blooming where condescension once lived. One of them, an older gentleman with silver hair, looks genuinely moved. She's not just fluent, he murmurs. She understands the culture. Ethan leans forward, trying to reassert control. All right, that's enough. You made your point, but Amara doesn't stop. Her voice steadies, softer now, yet more commanding than ever. She turns back to the full table and concludes in Mandarin, each word echoing like a bell. Jin Yu Qi Wai, Bai Shu Qi Zhong. One's worth isn't defined by gold. The idiom cuts through the air like a blade wrapped in velvet. It's elegant, ancient, and devastatingly precise. The message is clear. She's not just answering a taunt. She's exposing him. Ethan's face drains of color. His mouth opens, closes, searching for something to say, but nothing comes. The investors glance between them. One smiles faintly, another hides his amusement behind a glass of wine. A quiet moment stretches, heavy with realization. Then, from the far side of the room, a single pair of hands begins to clap. The sound is hesitant, then joined by another, then another, until the restaurant fills with applause. Even the violinist resumes playing, this time in harmony with the rhythm of approval. Amara lowers her head slightly in thanks, her poise unbroken. Ethan sits frozen, the center of a spotlight he no longer controls. His diamond ring, once a symbol of untouchable status, now glitters like mockery against the dimming pride on his face. The applause swells. Amara turns, collects her tray, and walks away. Not in retreat, but in triumph. For the first time that evening, the crowd isn't laughing at her. They're applauding for her. And Ethan Lee, the millionaire who thought money made him fluent in power, finally realizes he's just been outspoken, outclassed, and outshone by the waitress who spoke fire. For a few long seconds, the restaurant holds its breath. The applause fades into a stunned hush, broken only by the quiet buzz of disbelief spreading from table to table. Amara stands composed, her tray at her side, eyes calm but gleaming. She doesn't gloat. She doesn't need to. The room is already doing the talking for her. One of the investors, a Japanese businessman with salt and pepper hair, leans forward, curiosity overcoming etiquette. That was incredible, he says in accented English. But I wonder, how's your Japanese? Amara's smile is small but certain. Without missing a beat, she bows slightly and answers in fluid Japanese, her accent precise, her tone formal yet warm. Okay, Yang. 今夜の特別メニューは心を込めて準備いたしました。味わっていただければおいないです。Honored guests, tonight's special menu was prepared with heart. I hope you will enjoy it. A gasp spreads across the table. The investor nods slowly, impressed. Perfect pitch. Not a hint of hesitation. Ethan forces a laugh. All right, so she learned a few phrases from YouTube. Big deal. But his voice wavers. Amara turns toward him, her eyes steady. She switches effortlessly into French. Ce que vous appelez une plaisanterie est une leçon pour ceux qui ne savent pas écouter. What you call a joke is a lesson for those who never learn to listen. A woman at the next table, Parisian by her accent, murmurs, Mon Dieu. She speaks it perfectly. The murmurs ripple outward, phones rising again, flashes of light catching crystal and glass. Someone whispers, She's a polyglot. Another, No, she's something else entirely. Ethan's smirk fades for good, as if reading his thoughts. Amara continues in Spanish, her cadence lyrical. Natural. Las palabras son puentes, no muros. Pero algunos construyen muros sin saber que se están encerrando. Words are bridges, not walls. Yet some build walls without realizing they're trapping themselves. Her tone carries the rhythm of someone who has lived in these languages, not studied them. The guests can feel it. The difference between mimicry and mastery. She moves fluidly into Swahili, the sound rich and resonant. Ukiwadarao watu, unajidharao wewe mwenyewe. When you disrespect others, you diminish yourself. The African diplomat at the bar stands, clapping once in silent admiration. Before the awe can settle, Amara shifts again, this time to Arabic, the consonants rolling with eloquence. الكلمات لا تقتل, لكنها تفضح من يستعملها بسوء. Words do not kill, but they expose the one who misuses them. And then, softly, into Russian, each syllable pronounced with perfect control. Истинное богатство – это знание, не золото. True wealth is knowledge, not gold. The restaurant is utterly silent. Even the kitchen staff have gathered near the doors, peeking through the glass. Ethan sits frozen, his jaw slack, his ringed fingers twitching against the tablecloth. In the back, a young reporter who had come for an unrelated dinner fumbles for his phone. This is unreal, he whispers, already typing furiously. Within moments, his post hits social media. Black Waitress at Jade Ember just schooled a millionaire. In 9 languages. Likes and retweets explode within minutes. Screens light up around the restaurant as guests begin checking their feeds. The event is going viral before it's even over. Amara, unaware or perhaps unconcerned, finally looks at Ethan again. Her voice returns to English, calm and crystalline. You asked for Chinese, she says. I gave you 9 worlds. The line lands like prophecy. The investors exchange looks of stunned admiration, one muttering, She's not a waitress, she's a phenomenon. A flash of understanding crosses Ethan's face, followed quickly by horror. The puzzle pieces click into place. The pronunciation, the poise, the intellect. He's not facing a server with a knack for accents. He's standing before a former professor, a scholar, a woman whose intellect towers over him. In that single, devastating moment, Ethan Lee, tech millionaire, influencer, self-proclaimed genius, realizes the truth. He didn't humiliate a waitress. He challenged a linguist. He mocked a mind greater than his own, and the whole world is already watching. Ethan's chair scrapes sharply against the marble floor as he stands, trying to salvage what's left of his dignity. The applause and murmurs that filled the restaurant have now turned into an ocean of whispers, none of them flattering. He forces a smile that doesn't quite fit, raising both hands as if conducting the air. Okay, let's all relax. His laugh is tight, mechanical. This was just a little test. I wanted to see how she'd respond under pressure. He gestures toward Amara with feigned warmth, and she passed. Brilliantly. A+ performance. The attempt at control falls flat. No one claps. A few guests exchange looks of disgust. The investors, men who once chuckled at his arrogance, now lean back in their seats, eyes cold and calculating. Ethan's voice cracks slightly. You see, I appreciate intelligence. I wasn't mocking her. I was, encouraging her to show it. Amara studies him for a long, quiet moment. Then she sets her tray down on the table between them, the sound echoing faintly against the silence. Her composure never falters. Encouragement. She repeats softly, her voice like glass under tension. You call public humiliation encouragement? He opens his mouth, but she doesn't let him speak. You didn't test me, Mr. Lee. You revealed yourself. The line lands with quiet precision. Cameras are still rolling. Phones still raised. Ethan's throat works as he swallows hard. "Look, miss, doctor," she interrupts gently. The single word slices through the room. He blinks. "What?" Amara straightens, her posture radiating quiet authority. "Dr. Amara Johnson, Ph.D. in computational linguistics from Columbia University." A murmur rushes through the audience like a gust of wind. Ethan stares, dumbstruck. "I taught cross-cultural semantics at Harvard for 2 years," she continues evenly. "Before that, Mandarin phonetics and sociolinguistic structures at Boston University. My research focused on tonal cognition and artificial speech modeling." Every sentence peels another layer from his mask. The investor's eyes narrow, measuring the depth of his mistake. Amara glances around, her voice soft but unwavering. "I left academia when my mother fell ill. I needed work that gave me time to care for her. So I came here, to serve quietly, not to prove anything." She looks back at Ethan. "Until tonight." The silence that follows is thick with humiliation. His, not hers. Ethan's skin flushes crimson. He forces another laugh, thin and desperate. "All right, impressive résumé. You could have just said that earlier." One of the investors, the Japanese gentleman from before, folds his hands neatly. "She shouldn't have had to," he says. His tone is courteous but cutting. Another investor, a woman in her 50s with diamond earrings and a voice like tempered steel, leans forward. "You embarrassed yourself, Richard." She uses his English name deliberately, stripping it of glamour. "You tried to humiliate an educated woman for your amusement, and in doing so, you disrespected every one of us at this table." Ethan's lips twitch. "I didn't mean—" "You meant every word," she says coldly. "The problem isn't your mouth. It's your mind." The statement hits harder than a slap. Ethan's face contorts in disbelief as the others avert their eyes. His investors, his supposed allies, are now ashamed to be associated with him. The silver-haired gentleman who had praised Amara's Chinese finally stands. "Mr. Lee," he says, his voice steady, "you built your fortune on innovation and intellect. Yet tonight, you mocked the very thing that made you rich, knowledge." Ethan's protest dies in his throat. "You were never the smartest man in this room," the man adds, tone flat and final. Amara says nothing. She doesn't need to. The truth hangs there, luminous and irreversible. Ethan's hand falls to his side, his diamond ring catching the light again, but now it gleams like a mirror, reflecting everything he's lost. As Amara turns to leave, the crowd parts for her, silent and reverent. For the first time, the power in the room doesn't belong to money. It belongs to respect, and she owns every piece of it. By morning, the world knows her name. The first clip hits Twitter before midnight. A 30-second video of Amara standing in her waitress uniform, her eyes steady, her Mandarin crisp and commanding. Within hours, it explodes across every platform. Speak, Respect, and Now Your 9 languages trend globally by dawn. Millions watch the clip on loop. The woman who turned humiliation into poetry, who answered mockery with brilliance. Comment sections flood with disbelief and admiration. She's a goddess of languages. This is what Grace Under Fire looks like. Ethan Lee just got linguistically annihilated. News anchors replay the moment with dramatic pauses. Experts weigh in on her pronunciation and polyglot. Communities across the world post breakdown videos praising her accuracy. But the internet, as always, craves balance. For every cheer, there's outrage, this time directed squarely at Ethan. Old clips of his arrogance resurface. Interviews where he bragged about firing lazy employees. Tweets where he mocked people who waste time studying languages. Within hours, his public image begins to crack. Memes flood in. Side-by-side comparisons of him smirking with captions like fluent in arrogance, failed in humanity. By noon, his company's stock starts slipping. Journalists dig deeper. Questionable business ethics, sexist remarks at parties, tax rumors. His PR team scrambles, releasing a half-hearted apology. "I'm deeply sorry if my words were misinterpreted, but the internet smells blood." The investors from the dinner quietly pull out of his pending deal. A major sponsor issues a statement. "We stand against all forms of discrimination." Meanwhile, Amara wakes up in her small apartment to the sound of her phone vibrating non-stop. Dozens of missed calls, hundreds of messages. Her social media, once a quiet space filled with photos of sunsets and coffee mugs, is now a storm of mentions. A message from Harvard. Dr. Johnson, your poise and brilliance have inspired countless students. We'd be honored to have you speak at our upcoming symposium on linguistics and identity. Another from a global education foundation. We'd like to discuss a partnership for a language access initiative. Your story embodies what we stand for. Brands begin reaching out. Language learning apps, cultural institutions, even luxury magazines wanting interviews. She scrolls through them, stunned, her mind struggling to catch up with the reality that the world now sees what she's always been, more than a waitress. Then her phone buzzes again, this time a video call from her mother. The older woman's face fills the screen, tears shining in her eyes. "Baby," she whispers, voice trembling. "I saw it. I saw you." Amara smiles softly, a tear slipping down her own cheek. "It's just a video, Mama." Her mother shakes her head. "No, it's not just a video. It's the truth. You've always been destined for more than what life gave you." The two women sit in silence, the bond between them saying what words can't. For the first time in years, Amara feels the heavy knot of shame and struggle start to unravel. Across the city, in a high-rise office now stripped of its usual energy, Ethan stares at multiple screens flashing headlines. Ethan Lee, under fire for racial insult. Investors withdraw support. His PR manager's voice drones on speakerphone, but he barely hears it. The world that once worshipped him now recoils. He scrolls through a post of Amara speaking, her confidence radiating, her calm dismantling everything he built on arrogance. His reflection in the glass looks older, smaller. The irony sinks in. His empire isn't collapsing because of gossip or a mistake. It's falling apart because of the truth he revealed himself. The mirror he forced her to stand before has turned on him, showing the world exactly who he is. He shuts off the screen, but the sound of her voice, those perfect tones, those unshakable words, won't stop echoing in his mind. Some truths, he realizes too late, can't be deleted. The air in the jade ember feels different now, lighter, as if the walls themselves are proud of what happened within them. A week has passed since the confrontation, and Amara stands once again in the same spot by the bar, holding her resignation letter. Her apron is folded neatly in her hands, a symbol not of defeat, but of survival. The manager, a kind man who's seen too many dreams washed away in dishwater, reads her letter quietly. "You sure about this, Amara? You're one of the best we've got." She smiles softly. "That's exactly why I have to go. Someone else needs this job more than I do now." As she leaves the restaurant for the last time, the city's morning light greets her like an old friend. Her phone vibrates again. Another email. This one from the investors who witnessed her moment of triumph. "Dr. Johnson, we were deeply impressed by your composure and intellect. We'd like to offer you a permanent position as lead linguistic consultant for our international expansion team. The role includes research, global training, and cultural communication design." For a second, she can't move. The words blur as her eyes fill. After years of clawing her way through disappointment, this is not a gift. It's a restoration. She takes a deep breath and smiles to herself. "I accept." Cut 2. Ethan Lee, sitting in a dim boardroom. His face is pale, unshaven, his phone buzzing relentlessly. The headlines scrolling across the television screens no longer mention his genius or his ventures. They talk only of his collapse. Ethan Lee sued for defamation and discrimination. Investors abandon Lee Tech Holdings. The fall of a self-made tyrant. His assistant enters quietly, placing a small velvet pouch on the table. Inside it, his once prized diamond ring gleams dully, tagged with a note from his jeweler. Repossessed due to unpaid balance. He stares at it for a long time before shoving it away, disgusted by its emptiness. Meanwhile, Amara walks into her new office overlooking Central Park. The space is elegant but unpretentious. Glass walls, bookshelves, and sunlight. Her first, Paycheck has just cleared and she walks straight to the pharmacy, her heart light. "Name?" the pharmacist asks. "Johnson. Amara Johnson." She hands over the prescription, her mother's heart medication. The pharmacist smiles as she pays in full, no hesitation, no calculation. Outside, Amara sits on a park bench, her mother on video call. The older woman's eyes glow with joy. "You did it, baby. You really did it." Amara laughs softly. "We did it, Mama." A gust of autumn wind blows through the trees, scattering golden leaves like blessings. Across town, Ethan walks the streets of Manhattan, anonymous now. The world that once recognized him averts its gaze. He passes a cafe, hears a familiar voice through the open door. Amara's voice. It's playing from a TV inside, a clip from her viral interview. She sits across from a talk show host, poised and radiant. "Dr. Johnson," the host says, "what did you learn from that night?" Amara smiles. That power built on arrogance is fragile, but dignity is unbreakable. The audience applauds. Ethan lingers outside, the sound washing over him like judgment. For the first time, he doesn't feel anger, just emptiness. He looks at his reflection in the cafe window, the man who once thought money made him untouchable, now humbled by the echo of a woman's words. Amara, meanwhile, closes her laptop later that night, exhausted but fulfilled. The apartment smells of tea and new beginnings. On her table lies the folded apron, clean, untouched. She runs her hand over it, not with regret, but gratitude. It's no longer a symbol of where she fell. It's a reminder of where she rose. The balance of the world, once tilted toward cruelty and ego, has quietly corrected itself. Integrity has triumphed. 6 months later, the sun rises over the stone towers of Columbia University, painting them gold. The campus buzzes with new energy. Students, hurrying to lectures, coffee cups in hand, leaves rustling across the courtyard. Inside the grand auditorium, banners read, "Linguistics and the Power of Language, a guest lecture by Dr. Amara Johnson." The hall fills quickly. Some students whisper excitedly, others scroll through clips of the viral moment that made her famous, the night she turned humiliation into history. On stage, Amara waits behind the curtain, adjusting her notes. She's dressed simply, a white blouse, charcoal slacks, but her presence radiates quiet authority. A stagehand nods. She steps into the light. Applause rises immediately, loud, sincere, thunderous. For a moment, she just stands there, absorbing it. When it fades, she begins. "Language," she says, "is the currency of respect. The moment we stop listening, we bankrupt ourselves." The room is silent, captivated. She continues, her voice measured but impassioned. "We live in an age where people talk faster than they think, where power is mistaken for volume and silence for weakness. But words, real words, shape worlds. They build bridges between us. Or, if wielded carelessly, they burn them." She glances at the front row, where a group of young linguistics students lean forward, notebooks poised. "Some of you may know my story," she says with a faint smile. "A few months ago, I was a waitress, serving the privileged invisible to them. One man mocked me, asked if I was worth his time. He said, 'Speak Chinese,' so I did. And 8 more. A ripple of laughter and admiration passes through the room. I didn't respond to hurt him," she continues. "I responded to remind him, and everyone watching, that knowledge is not defined by class, color, or clothing. Language is a form of humanity, and when we use it to demean others, we betray it." Her tone softens. "You'll meet people who underestimate you. Let them. Then show them, not with anger, but with excellence. The best revenge is to build something so great that their pettiness becomes irrelevant." Applause swells again. Behind the crowd, standing near the exit, a figure watches quietly. Ethan Lee. He wears a simple gray coat, his once polished demeanor replaced by humility. No cameras, no entourage, just a man listening. His expression is unreadable, but his eyes hold a quiet respect. Amara doesn't see him, but somehow, her next words seem to reach straight toward him. Redemption, she says, isn't about being forgiven by others. It's about choosing who you'll be from this moment forward. The words we spoke yesterday are carved in memory, but the words we choose today can still heal. She closes her notebook, stepping out from behind the podium. Use your words wisely, she tells the students. They are the sharpest tools you'll ever wield, and the most delicate instruments of change. The audience rises to its feet in thunderous applause. Phones capture her final bow, flashes glinting off her eyes as she smiles, radiant and unburdened. In the back of the hall, Ethan remains standing long after the clapping fades. He slips out quietly, disappearing into the cold afternoon. For the first time in his life, he feels the weight of silence, not as defeat, but as humility. Outside, the bells of Columbia chime at noon. Amara walks through the quad, her students trailing behind her, eager to ask questions. She pauses for a moment, looking up at the bright sky above the city that once broke her and now honors her. Her voice, calm and reflective, carries as a voiceover. Words can wound, but they can also rebuild. The camera pulls back, students circling her like orbiting mines, the skyline stretching infinite behind her. The applause from the hall echoes faintly, blending with the city's heartbeat. Amara Johnson, no longer just the waitress, no longer the wounded, stands immortal in her dignity.